You're listening to the Piano Parent Podcast with Shelley Davis, episode 348. Hey there, and welcome to the Piano Parent Podcast. I'm Shelley Davis, a longtime piano teacher and parent with my husband of 4 mostly musical kids. As parents, we spend so much time trying to encourage and motivate our kids. We wonder if we're doing the best things for them. We second guess our decisions, and we worry if we're going to scar them for life. While you focus on encouraging your kids, I'm here to reassure and inspire you. I'll be here every week with practice tips, inspirational teacher interviews, and musical topics to help you impress your kids with your musical knowledge. Parenting is not for the faint of heart, but it's much easier with support, and you have come to the right place. Good morning, piano parents. Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast today. We're going to be talking about, I'm calling it Finding the One. And I encountered a situation with a student this summer where I kept trying to help him find the one, and I realized maybe that's not the best turn of phrase. And I loved this student. I only worked with him over the summer, and he was, I think, 13, maybe 14, and had been doodling with trying to learn to play the piano by following YouTube tutorials. He's a very industrious student and had done a lot of things, but he and his mom agreed that maybe it would be a good idea to meet with a teacher to try to make sure he's on the right track. Excuse me. And maybe see about learning to read music. And anyway, through our conversation, I kept saying, find the one. And I learned that he didn't even understand what one. What are you even talking about? So that conversation sparked the idea for today's podcast episode. Whenever I have the opportunity to work with children, and I work with children not only in my private piano lessons, but I also teach music on a part-time basis at a charter school here in town, and that's for students in kindergarten through 5th grade. And then I also teach 3 mornings a week at a local daycare. Just a couple of hours, I go in and meet with the kids for about 15 or 20 minutes. And one of the primary things that I try to get all of my students to feel, even those baby students from the very beginning, is I want them to be able to feel the steady beat. One of the first activities that we do with students is that I'll have them marching to music so they can feel the beat as they march and their body is moving so they can internalize that sensation. I might have them clapping on the beat or tapping their legs or patting their head or anything I can get them to do to feel the regular steady pulse of the music. And as I'm talking, I'm even moving my hands, trying to feel a steady beat, trying to convey that through the microphone. When you're listening to music, when your piano kid is listening to music, observe and see if they're able to tap on the beat. If you're a dancer, I'm not much of a dancer, but if you're a dancer, that's going to be what you move to. And you can sense the beat. If you're listening to a band, especially, you can sense the beat by following the drummer. Usually the bass drum is going to click on the beat, or it might be 1 and 3 and 1 and 3. As far as if we were in 4/4 time and they were feeling the beat and feeling that repetitive cycle of the music. Once students are able to sense that steady beat and they can keep up with the music and clap on the beat, then I want to encourage them to find the downbeat. That's what I meant when I was talking to this summer student about finding the one. The downbeat, the strongest pulse of the measure, typically, is going to be the first beat of the measure. And I'm even emphasizing the one as I'm trying to speak to you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever you watch an orchestra conductor or even just a band leader, that you hear that it's called the downbeat. And if their arms are directing, they'll bring their arms up and then bring them straight down, and that is a downbeat.
If they have 4 beats in the measure, their arms will come straight down, maybe across their body for the second beat, outside of their body for the third beat, back up for the fourth beat. So it almost makes the sign of a plus sign or a cross or a sideways X, but they're down, across, back across, up, and down, and that gives 4 beats. I want students to be able to find that one and find the downbeat, because that helps them know when we're in a new measure. It helps them know how the music is moving forward. Typically, chord changes happen on the downbeat. They'll happen other times during the measure as well, but you're going to hear strong harmonic changes on the downbeat, on the one, the first beat of the measure. Now that one can change depending on what your meter is, what the time signature is. And that's another tricky concept for students to grasp. The most common time signature, the most common meter is 4, having 4 beats in the measure. And most of our Western music has 4 beats in the measure. And that's what students typically study when they first begin reading music. They'll have a nice 4 beat structure to their measure. And whenever it's time for them to break out of 4/4 time and go into something different, maybe 3/4 time or 6/8 time, a lot of times my students will accidentally add a 4th beat to the measure. The music says 3/4 time, but the way they're playing it, they've got 1, 2, 3, wait, and 1, 2, 3, wait. They're not actually playing in a true 3/4 time, which should sound like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a different grouping of the notes and a different pulse to the music. The 1, the downbeat, comes much sooner than it would if there were 4 beats in the measure. The third time signature that I'm going to talk about today is 6/8 time. And if you're mathematical, you may be thinking, well, 6/8 is the same as 3/4. And mathematically, you would be correct. Fractions that's true. 6/8 does equal 3/4. But the grouping is different musically. So instead of in 3/4, we could have 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3. And we'll have 3 groups of 2. When we're thinking about 6/8 time, we have 2 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you're not really looking at the music, it almost sounds like there's 2 beats per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You may feel like it's semantics, but there really is a big difference. And it's kind of funny on social media or on online conversations. It's a constant topic of discussion about the differences and similarities between 3/4 time and 6/8 time. What I ended up doing with this student, back in the summer, I was trying to help him feel the steady beat. And I noticed that when he listens to music, he is paying attention to everything. If he were listening to his favorite band, he's listening to the lyrics, he's listening to the melody, he might be moving to the beat. He didn't have a problem feeling the beat, but being able to group the music into measures and into a specific time signature or meter, that's where he was just lost. He didn't understand that we needed to think about it in smaller groups. And if we listened to music that he was familiar with, it was hard for his mind to filter out everything else. I tried to have him listen to the bass drum or even listen to the bass guitar player. The bass guitar player is going to change, since those chord changes happen frequently on the downbeat. If you listen to that low sound of the bass guitar and notice when that instrument is changing the chord or changing their note, that's a good indication of when the downbeat is, or at least when the strong pulses are. But again, if it was a familiar piece of music, he couldn't not listen to the lyrics or the melody. So I pulled out a tool an app that I have had on my iPad for a long time, and it just wasn't one of those that kind of made the rotation, but I decided that it would be the perfect application for this student this summer. It's called iReal Pro, I-R-E-A-L, Pro, and I don't remember the cost. There may be a free version and then a paid version. I don't remember. I'll try to find that information out and link it up for you in the show notes. But all it is it's a way of putting together chord sequences, chord progressions, to almost simulate having a band backing you up. And so what I did for this student was I put together some samples of music or samples of chord progressions in some different time signatures to help him listen to the way the music was moving. He didn't have lyrics to be distracted by, and he wasn't familiar with the chord sequences that we did. I actually let him help me make some chord sequences, and once all of that other information was removed, then he was able to focus on the chord changes, and he was able to start finding the one. He was able to determine when the downbeat occurred and when each new measure began. So I'm going to let you listen to some basic chord progressions in different time signatures. I'll change the time signatures. The nice thing too about using iReal Pro is that I'm just putting together a sequence of chords. I don't have to worry about copyright issues because I'm not using any one song in particular. And the other nice thing is that it helps students start learning how chords communicate with each other and how one chord can set up another chord, which can set up another chord that can lead to a nice final sounding cadence. We're not talking about cadences today, but it would be a good lesson to use this iReal Pro app for. All right, so let me pull up. I'm just going to see if this works. Just pulling up this 5-finger pattern. And you can have a lot of fun with iReal Pro because there are different sounds. Let me just let you listen. So I've put together just a 4-measure sequence of chords, and we're going to experiment with the different meters, just the 3 that we're talking about today, 4/4, 3/4, and 6/8. And you can listen to this for yourself and see if you can find if you can predict when the next chord change is going to happen. And then maybe try it with your piano kid and see not only can they find the steady beat, that's extremely important to be able to feel the pulse of the music, and then see if they can find and predict when the chord change is going to happen. In this case, it's always going to be on the first beat of the measure. You know, if your piano kid has trouble finding the steady beat when they're just listening to music, it's going to be tricky for them to produce a steady beat when they're playing their music. So I think some sort of exercise like this, it has multiple uses and a lot of educational value for your piano kid. But let's listen. I'm not going to tell you what the time signature is for this. You're going to be able to tell because of the drum clicks. But let's just listen to this first sample. Are you able to hear it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I feel like I should do jazz hands. The fun thing about iReal Pro is that you can change all of the settings. I'm not going to go into that right now. We're going to stick with this same jazz medium swing kind of setting. And right now, if it matters to you, we are in the key of C, and we are at 100 beats per minute. iReal Pro has all sorts of adaptability. By the way, I'm not affiliated with iReal Pro. I'm just doing a free commercial for them because I find it helpful in my teaching, and I think it would be something helpful for your students. Even if you don't want to get the app, listening to these samples on this episode is also a great way for your piano kid to start hearing the different signatures, the different pulses and meters. So did you notice before I started counting that we were in 4/4 time? Let me change the time signature now. Let's see if I can do that. Edit. Okay, so now here's a different sample. See if you can find the one for this. And it's 4 measures. I'll let it play through a loop 3 times. I'll start counting on the last time. Here it comes. Can you feel it? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right. And then let's do one last time signature and see if you can feel this one. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Whew, that one went kind of fast, even at just 100 beats. Didn't it feel like it was just 2? 1, 2, 1, 2. We'll play that a little bit again. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slow it down a little bit. 4, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that sample, in my opinion, is not the best sample for feeling 6/8 time because it did go pretty quick, and the way the instrumentation was, it was easier to just feel the 2 strong pulses. I was looking through, searching on Google and looking for some different songs that will help you identify those different time signatures, different popular music that is in these different time signatures. Like I said at the beginning, the most common in Western music, the most common meter is 4/4 time. We tend to feel 4 pulses per measure. That works out really well when you're marching, and so you have left, right, left, right. It tends to be our most common. Songs that your piano kid is already familiar with would be stuff like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Sorry, my singing voice is not sounding very good right now, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and tidy 4/4 time signature. Same with Mary Had a Little Lamb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, da, da. Let me see what else. Bruno Mars. I love some of Bruno Mars' music. Some of it is not appropriate to share with children, and that makes me mad. It's like, Bruno, why did you have to put that in there? It was a perfect song until then. One song that I enjoy sharing with kids is Count on Me. It's in 4/4 time. It's in the key of C. It goes at a nice steady pace. I have a lot of students, when they're starting to play with chords, I'll show them the chord progression for Count on Me and let them enjoy playing along. The Beatles' Hey Jude is another example of music in 4/4 time. As we were getting ready for this new school year, I was one of the people that needed to update my CPR training. And so we went to our CPR class, and the instructor, you were probably already thinking about what song she mentioned. When you're wanting to keep a good steady beat on a good steady tempo, if you're in a situation to have to provide CPR for someone, is the Bee Gees' Staying Alive. I staying alive, staying alive. Steady 4 beats per measure in that music. Thinking about 3/4 time, that one is one that's not as common. If you're a dancer, you may be familiar with dancing the waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that may make it easier for you to associate maybe the missing beat in that meter. Children that aren't familiar with waltzes and aren't familiar with songs in 3/4 time, when they're playing their music, they are likely going to change it, and they're going to be playing 4 beats per measure. Somehow they're going to add an extra. Maybe they'll hold the last note a little longer, or they'll have a little rest while they're trying to figure out what to play in the new measure. And so it's a big deal, and you can really help your piano kid at home if you will help them listen to music in 3/4 time and make sure that they're counting in 3/4 time, so that when they play music that has 3 beats per measure, they're actually playing it correctly. Happy Birthday to You is a song that can be done in 3/4 time. Happy birthday to you. Da da 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and so on and so on. If you're familiar with any of Bach's minuets, a minuet was another style of dance back in the day that was structured in 3 beats per measure, 3/4 time. In just a few weeks, a couple of months, we're going to be approaching the Christmas season. It's hard to say when the temperature is close to 100 degrees outside, but that's the reality. A very popular song around Christmas time for piano students is Carol of the Bells. Dun, 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 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. That's a great one for getting comfortable with 3/4 time. Amazing Grace is a popular hymn that's in 3/4 time, 3 beats per measure. And of course, Billy Joel's Piano Man. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. It feels like especially the beginning, has a very strong waltz feel. So listen to these songs with your piano kid and help them start to notice the difference in the timing. And you may need to pull up something similar to iReal Pro, or maybe even a karaoke version on Spotify or YouTube of the song, so that you get rid of the lyrics and the distractions and can focus on the actual meter. And then finally, some songs in 6/8 time. These are some songs that you might listen to with your piano kid to help them continue to feel the steady beat. But 6/8 meter is called a compound meter because there's actually 2 things going on. We have that strong pulse, 2 strong pulses per measure, but then each pulse has 3 little subdivisions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, da, 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 da. A good nursery rhyme to feel this type of meter is Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. I'm exaggerating the pulses in between, but you can sense those 2 strong pulses, but then hickory has 3 syllables to be able to say that word. Another 6/8 piece of music is Edvard Grieg's Morning. The da 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 da. Sorry, my voice is weird today. But you have the strong pulses, da 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 da. But within each pulse, you have those smaller little beats. A very popular song a few years ago was Leonard Cohen's Alleluia. That would be a great one to listen to. It's in 6/8 time. And then who can pass up Queen with We Are the Champions? I was kind of surprised to see that was in 6/8 time. I think my mind, when I listen to it, I guess I gravitate more toward the 2 strong pulses. But when I pulled up the music, sure enough, it's in 6/8 time. Way to go, Freddie Mercury. And then, like any of the sea chanties or Irish jigs, a lot of those are going to be in 6/8 time. Okay, so here's a little pop quiz. I'm going to play each of those examples again, and they'll loop through 3 times to give you plenty of time to feel the beat and start to count the beat. I'm not going to do them in the same order as I played them before, so if you're thinking you remember, I'm going to try to mix them up a little bit, but here is the first one. Here's the second one. All right, and here's the third set. Nice. Okay, just in case you were wondering, the first one was 6/8. And I know the sample that I'm giving you makes it feel like there's 2 beats per measure. So you have to really kind of think about counting the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you listen to Edvard's Grieg or find that nursery rhyme set to music for Hickory Dickory Dock, that'll give you a much better feeling for 6/8 time. The second sample I played was in 4/4 time, and then the last one was 3/4 time. And I hope that this will give you some insight as to whether or not your piano kid is able to internalize not only the steady beat, but also the downbeat, and when each new measure occurs, so that they can count the cycle. And are they counting 4 beats or 3 beats or 2 pulses, referring to 6/8 time? And then once they're able to feel that from music that they're listening to, they're going to be much more capable, and they'll have a much stronger frame of reference for trying to duplicate that in the music that they play. And as you're listening to music, you can ask them, what do you think this time signature is? Chances are, I almost want to say 9 times out of 10, surely it's not that high, but the majority of the music that they listen to is probably going to be in 4/4 time. So if you find any jewels that are in 3/4 time or in 6/8 time, I'm sure you can find music in lots of other time signatures. Those are just the ones I wanted to focus on today. But let me know, what else did you discover with your piano kid? You can always email me at Shelley, SHELLY, at pianoparentpodcast.com. Or if you follow me on Instagram at Piano Parent Podcast, you can send me a DM right there. You could even send me a sample of the song because of the audio, the audio feature there. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. I look forward to seeing you again next week. We're going to be talking about, next week we're going to be talking about something that I said to my kids a lot when they were growing up. When an accident happened or somebody got hurt, they would always say, I didn't mean to. And my response to them was always, well, you didn't mean not to. You need to be more careful. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that, about how we can help our children not only set them up for success, but try to set them up so that they can't fail. So I hope to see you again next week when we cover that interesting topic.
And that's the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for hanging around all the way to the end. If you haven't done so already, this would be a great time for you to hit the subscribe button. If you're listening through Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever your favorite podcast player is, hit subscribe so you will be the first to receive next week's episode. I would love to connect with you. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Piano Parent Podcast, and you could just email me, Shelley at pianoparentpodcast.com.